This next one was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Travis. I'm a longtime fan and an avid listener of your assorted podcasts. I was originally introduced to professional wrestling through Continental Championship Wrestling in the Panhandle of Florida in the early 1980s. I recently looked up a list of former NWA heavyweight champions and was surprised to discover that Dusty Rhodes never had a lengthy heavyweight title run. Despite being one of the biggest stars of the late 70s and 80s, his longest run was 88 days. Why did the NWA never give Dusty Rhodes a lengthy heavyweight title run?
Oh, good Lord. Let me enumerate It's hard to explain, I guess, now to people who are used to more modern wrestling because, just everybody gets the belt and it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Dusty didn't need the belt. Dusty did not fit the profile of what the NWA champion was supposed to be at that point in time. Dusty was an attraction all his own without the belt. With the NWA champion, for those days, you wanted a guy who was, and this was the transition period, went from just a pure technical worker like a Jack Briscoe and a Dory Funk Jr. to a guy who's a great technical worker but flashy like Flair. But you wanted a guy who not only could work every style, not only could do an hour with guys and work their match, travel to the different territories and make the local star look better than he ever has. That was what you wanted. With Dusty, not only was that not necessarily his bailiwick, but it's not what he should have done. People wanted to see Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, because he was a star. They didn't want to see Dusty come in and make their local guy look better than he ever had. They wanted to see Dusty. And Dusty needed to have the shorter matches with more action and the gaga and the excitement to be Dusty, to be the American Dream, and more juice and more stipulations. Dusty's forte was not working a world title style match. The reason why he got the belt on a couple of occasions, not just because he was Booker at the time, because he got the belt first time way before he was the Booker. He got the belt because he was one of the biggest stars in the business, one of the biggest box office attractions, and it would start detracting from people's faith in Dusty if he never won the big one. That was the deal back then, is when you got a baby face that was so hot in different places and so popular, and he would come up short and come up short. It's why Lawler, the Memphis had to switch affiliations from NWA to AWA to finally get him a run, because for their business, Lawler had come up short so many times he couldn't fail again, or else it was really going to hurt things. Dusty was given the belt a few times there early on because he was so big. To him never to get it would have hurt the Golden Goose, but for him to keep it for a long period of time, again, in a completely different way, same thing as The Undertaker was never a champion in the WWF long term, fit and spurred here and there. He didn't need it, and it wasn't his forte.
Plus, while Dusty could work heel, it would have been a bad idea for Dusty Rhodes at that point in time to work heel.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you needed someone who could work either babyface or heel everywhere they went.
And plus, besides that, if you booked at that time Dusty Rhodes into a territory against your top babyface, who they saw all the time, they'd cheer Dusty over the top babyface because he was new and he was, we're seeing Dusty Rhodes. So it just... nothing to do with even his style or athletic ability or talent or whatever. He was not the type of person to have the NWA belt and didn't need it.
Didn't need it, but do you think he wanted it?
Well, obviously, you always want to be the world champion, even if sometimes you might not necessarily recognize that you shouldn't be the world champion. He wanted, but also he was smart enough to know that if he never got it at all, it would hurt his credibility. So he got it enough to say that he'd had it, and then found good reasons, or not good reasons, but ways to lose it where there was a reason otherwise than him just getting beat.
What did Flair think when they did the title switch in 1986?
What do you mean, what did Flair think?
Was he happy about dropping the belt to Dusty?
Well, he didn't come to everybody in the locker room and go, well, fuck this fucking shit. I don't know that he was necessarily happy about it, but at the same time, at that point, I can see where, that was a big fucking program and Dusty had to win at some point. Maybe, was that the proper time? Maybe, maybe not, but he had to do it at some point just to keep things going.
Well, Jim, a lot of fans think that Dusty Rhodes should have looked into some legal action against Terry Funk for breaking his arm.
A lot of folks think that Brian Last should have done more work on his segues this week, but folks, I'll tell you this right now.
He broke his arm. That's why he lost the title back in 79.
If a wrestler or a group of wrestlers attacks you backstage, and Lord knows that happens at least 24 times a week in modern wrestling, you need a good personal injury attorney. If you have been injured or damaged in some form, you need a good attorney, and we know exactly who you can call.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
Yes, folks, I'll guarantee you one thing. Brian Last may be the king of bad segues, but without doubt, Stephen P. New of newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084, is the king of torts. He's been writing writs all morning. If you've read the writs he's written, you'll know they're really well-written writs, and he can write a writ for you. No matter what the problem, we've talked about the opioid addiction issues that he has taken up the cases for. We've talked about the defective earplugs. We've talked about the Zantac and the Roundup causing cancer. Stephen has been involved in helping people get compensation for all those things. And now, as of the date of this airing, Stephen P. New and New Law Office, they have jumped into filing lawsuits on behalf of, get this now, 47 different veterans, Brian, who were assaulted by one of the physicians at the Beckley, West Virginia VA hospital. Apparently, over a period of like 18 months, this creepy doctor assaulted, and you know what we're talking about, 47 American service veterans. And this is not one of those, well, did he do it or didn't he do it? He's already pled guilty to the criminal charges. He said, yes, I did it. And these are the civil lawsuits that Stephen and his firm are going to be filing on behalf of these veterans that have been at a VA hospital. So shit like this goes on, folks. And if you've had shit like this go on in your family or with your friends, you need somebody that'll tell you straight on what's going on. Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. And I guess now be careful when you go to the doctor. I had a situation last time I went to have a physical. I didn't think it was that bad when the doctor stuck his finger up my ass, but the problem was he had both his hands on my shoulders at the same time.
I don't know if we should be making light of these.
I don't know how he did it, but anyway. All right. Do we have time for music on the program today?